I know I've been on a Divorce Diaries rant for quite a while now, but I just want to take a break to just remind you about this podcast and how I record it. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast everywhere. Seriously. On Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Again, that's anchor.fm to get started, or download the Anchor app.
You are now listening to the Divorce Diaries podcast with your host, well, that's a secret. No names, ages, or any other identifying characteristics will be used as we protect the young and innocent. You'll be taken on a journey as one man considers getting a divorce or remaining married. The Divorce Diaries daily entries chronicle the decision-making processes in real time as they unfold day by day. He hopes to add a bit of clarity to his sometimes muddled mess of a marriage. Cheating, overspending, sex, sadness, and betrayal are the characteristics of this marriage. Is he making the right choice? Welcome to the Divorce Diaries. Entire seasons are released on Patreon weeks before anywhere else. At Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Link below in description. Now for today's episode.
Welcome to the Divorce Diaries. Back for another recording. No more ranting. But I had a very, very emotional reaction today, and I guess this is a part of the process of divorcing. We today went to remove our names from particular vehicles. Like, both of our names were on vehicles because I was trying to live and she was too. Like a married couple, our names are on everything together. And now we're getting to that place where we need to start removing names from things. And, oh man, I am really doing a lot better when I'm not with her. And I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's the distance, but I'm feeling, working with my therapist and recognizing where your stress is and becoming a little bit more acutely aware of your stress and your triggers. And I hold my stress in my like solar plexus area. Some people hold it in their gut, some in their, I think is it head, throat, gut, deep head, throat, like solar plexus area, and then gut, like stomach. And I think mine is in that area, like right around my solar plexus. Like I don't feel the tightness in my chest, and it's not like really like down at the bottom of my stomach, but it's definitely where it's like I still need to breathe and like get myself together, because like you don't realize what my friend told me. He says, you were in an abusive relationship, and a lot of times we trigger ourselves to abusive relationships being, someone smacking someone around, and it's physical abuse. And he's just like, no, you were in an abusive relationship, and now it's like I'm coming close to my abuser, and it's my sort of emotional flinch. And I'm just totally like bracing myself to get, like, if you can imagine, the dog that knows that it's going to get like kicked by its owner. The dog kind of walks wide around the owner. The dog kind of is posturing their body away from the owner, but they're kind of cutting their eye at the corner toward their owner. And the dog's clearly trying to avoid. And I know that I had to go in and I had to sit with her so we could sign these documents and be done with this. And I just kind of, it's just all the stress just in my chest. And I'll tell you why, because here's what happened. I came in and I've got something medical that I've got to go through, and I had to get a shot. And Like I've already said plenty of times, my wife is whip smart. And I will say, I don't know if it's my self-demoralizing or whatever, but I will say she's a lot smarter than I am. Technically, she's smarter than I am. Socially, I believe that she's smarter than I am. She retains things better than I do. She recalls things better than I do. I just believe that. She's one of, she does a lot of those brain sort of activity games. I don't want to be too specific, but she does those. So she's just one of those people. So not only is she smart already, she sort of works that muscle as well. And I said, yeah, I had to get this shot for this thing. And she's like, oh, because of this or something. And it's a really long name. Well, to me, it's a long name. And I said, yeah, I don't know if you know what that's for. And she's like, of course I know what that's for. Yeah, why wouldn't I know what that's for? And immediately I just put my head down because I feel like I'm always saying something wrong when I'm around her, and I'm always waiting to be corrected. And this sorry about that. This is it's just one of those things where, let's say if someone said to me, hey, does Burger King sell the Whopper or the Big Mac? And I were to reply to that person, seriously? You don't know which one sells the Burger King? You don't know which one, McDonald's or Burger King, sells the Whopper? And they say, no, I don't. It's like, really? Everybody knows that. You know, it's one thing when you talk to that person, you know, just kind of once in a blue moon. But it's difficult when you live with and are married to that person that kind of reminds you of sort of what you don't know that often. And I get corrected a lot. And it's rightfully so, because if I'm wrong about things, I'm wrong about them. I don't really care. But I will say, though, sometimes when it's your wife that's sort of constantly correcting you, it's it can get a little bit old. It can get a bit sad sometimes. It can, because I'm constantly sort of in my head, and I'm constantly trying to say the right thing, not make a mistake, not do something wrong that gets me corrected. And it just provides a tension in my body. And it's grown over the years. And when I'm not around her now, that part of my body, like, it's been about 10 minutes since I left her now, and I'm starting to relax there, but I can feel it. I can still feel the tightness in my chest a little bit. And nobody has to believe me, but if you've ever been with a person like that, and it may not be a spouse, it may just be, you know, a friend or something like that, or a parent, that person that just inspires a little bit of anxiousness or trepidation or tension inside of you, you should try to maybe possibly get some professional help if you can't figure it out yourself. Yeah, because it really matters. Because it really matters how you show up in the world. And it really matters how you show up to that person. And I don't know if I'll ever, quote unquote, get over the fact that I do, on some level, think that my wife is better than I am. Because I really value intelligence, and my wife has a boatload of it. So I just I look at her as the expert. And I mean, that does become a little bit difficult sometimes when experts do things that aren't so experty. Experts make these big sweeping mistakes sometimes, but yet they still correct you. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not saying anything like this is even my wife's responsibility. This is my diary. This is what I'm feeling. And after talking to a bunch of people over the years, I understand I'm not the only person that feels this way, male, female, husband or wife in a relationship. We all are trying, and it's one thing my therapist says, that if a person could do better, they would do better. So just understand that you're doing your very best, and your wife's likely doing her very best. So that's okay. You're doing your very best. And I do want my very best to be good enough for my wife. But man, I haven't seen her in a few days, and that the tension was so much there, and I just know that we are not supposed to be together, and I'll be happy to get to some other place physically, mentally, emotionally, where I'm just free.
Wow, that was the Divorce Diaries podcast. The daily saga will continue tomorrow. The full season's episodes are on Patreon now. Subscribe for early access. Click the Patreon link in the description. Hopefully these entries help our anonymous recorder as a form of his own personal therapy. That's his hope and his intention. Will these recordings of life's curveballs lead this family to the best resolution in the end? We'll keep listening. New episodes are released daily on all podcast players, but all episodes are available on Patreon at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Until next time.